Terry, why don't you try clicking that again? It should be green and not red. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. Looks much better that way, or at least to me. Appreciate everyone coming back tonight as we're looking at our New Movers program. I know that Reed and Ivan and Ron have mentioned this before already with the elders charge and so forth the last couple of months, and we've got it started. But our plan is to make this a great work effort for the congregation here, and so we wanted to let you be aware of what our plans are, and so. When we started putting this together, I went to the elders and kind of put this presentation before them, and said, this is kind of what we'd like to do. And I mentioned to them about getting a committee, and I don't like to do things by committee much, but in this case, what I was trying to do was get a cross section of the congregation, young and old, in-towners, out-of-towners, old Brighton, new Brighton, just try to get a cross section of everyone, and to get them involved in a way that helps steer this, kind of put together ideas. I had my ideas, and in fact, the presentation I'm giving you tonight are the ones that have taken some of my ideas and made them better. Put real legs upon them so they can actually walk, and tweak them in a way that I think that this is going to be a good rollout, a good effort for the congregation here, and there's a lot of things that we can accomplish that are good. And so I want to look at the New Movers program itself and what it means to us. And that's we chose this program because obviously it is focused on those who are moving into our area. So just a little background here. Several years ago, there's an organization or a company called Outreach. Outreach does a lot of printing of like bulletin shells and welcome pamphlets and banners and everything, just trying to help churches reach out to their community. And I use churches there in the broadest sense because it is a interdenominational group or whatever. Ironically, we have used it here in the past for welcome folders. Whenever I called them up, the church at Brighton already had an account with them. So it's something that the church here was familiar with. It was something I was familiar with when I was in Leonard, Texas, and then when I was in Corsicana, Texas. And they're actually based out of Colorado Springs, so they're just down the road. But about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, they started what was called the New Movers program, and it was an opportunity that they were giving churches to say, we'll help you reach people who are moving into your community, who are new movers to your community. So you tell them what postal routes and rural routes, city routes, whatever that you want to mail into or look at. They keep track of who is moving in, either as renters or as have bought a house or whatever, and then what they do is they compile a list once a month of all the names and addresses of a family that has moved in. So if they moved in, we're at 1929 Egbert, and say they moved at 1829 Egbert, well that name is going to pop up, and they're going to send a postcard. And I was sitting over here thinking I should have put that postcard on here, but I forgot. That's the one thing I wish I'd added to this presentation. But the postcard, if we have time at the end, I'll throw it up there. I'll find it and throw it up real quick. But it basically says, moving is hard, finding a new church doesn't have to be. And so the idea is that it's sent to, if it's Sam that has moved over here, it says, Sam, moving is hard, but finding a new church doesn't have to be. And you flip it over on the back side, it has personal messages from the church, identifying such things as, some of the things that we offer here, like Bible classes for all ages, services in English and in Spanish, service opportunity or serving opportunities, things like that. A little message from me, kind of the face of the congregation, I guess, in that sense. So just a little message from me. Has service times, maps to the building. It's on one postcard. So this company gets it, and they print this with the mover's name on there, and everything's personalized for them, and mails it to them. And then they turn around and send us a list of all the addresses that they mailed to. So that's how we're getting that 200 names we've been talking about. What we've done is we've overlaid the map kind of the congregation here. We've got some people coming in from Highway 7 out near 25. We've got people coming up from Lock Buoy or Fort Lupton. We've got people coming from Commerce City and your Reunion area. And so we kind of took that as our basic idea. If that's the kind of membership we already have that's coming from these different places, let's mail to those areas. And so those are the areas kind of that we have focused on. And that's, someone says, well, I didn't know we were having 200 people a month moving into Brighton. Well, maybe not into Brighton proper, but when you combine those areas, which are just, probably about a 10 to 15 mile radius at the most, we start seeing a lot more. And there's a lot of other areas that we can add to it. If this it tends to be a good program for us, then maybe we'll do that. But right now, that's where we're focusing, and it's averaging about 200 a month. So we did the Jumpstart program where it gave us September, gave us October and November, and we're about to get the December ones. They should hit sometime in a week or two, and at that point, we'll have like 800 names. Okay. So that seems daunting, but what we're wanting to do is do more than just that postcard. I think that's a great start, and that's wonderful. It's great, they know the church is here. They've got an advertisement for it. We're using some principles of marketing. Some of you, I'm sure, have studied marketing at least in some degree, but when you're dealing with marketing, the one thing that is important is a repetition of the name, that they see it over and over and over again. That's why when you turn on the TV and you're watching your favorite show and they break for commercials and you see McDonald's commercials, you see Walmart commercials, you see commercials for these businesses over and over and over again, because it works. We'd like to think that we're immune to advertising, but it's billions of dollars a year spent on advertising. And they don't do that because it doesn't work. They do that because it does work. Okay? So what we're trying to do is, in a sense, advertise the Brighton Church of Christ to people that are coming into town. And yes, we're still doing the newsletters and these other things to get the name of the Brighton Church of Christ into people's minds, into their hearts, so that when they decide, hey, we ought to start going to church, honey. Where do you want to go? Well, I've heard a lot about that Brighton Church of Christ. That's what we're looking for. I may not be able to convince someone who's got it good right now in their life to start coming to church. I'm going to try. But sometimes, as you know, it's hard, right? But their mom dies, and they're looking for solace. And they think, maybe I should go to church. Mom would want me to go to church. Where should we go? Brighton Church of Christ. See? A child gets sick. A spouse loses their job. Their house burns. Look, it's not that we're wishing tragedy upon people's lives, but we understand that in times of trials and tragedies, that's when a lot of people are more open to receiving the gospel, to hearing hearing about Jesus. So we look for those opportunities. Of course, we don't want to be ambulance chasers and, they must be having a hard time. Let's go talk to them about Jesus. Another time that people are open to a church is in major transitions in their lives. They've been, their job has been has moved them across country, and they're in a new house and a new area that they don't know people, and they're going to be more open to hearing the gospel. People who are moving, just like the New Movers program suggests, people who are moving, they're making this major transition to a different place, different community, and now maybe it's the best time to start in a church. They're having children. They're starting a new job. They've got out of school. They're getting into the workforce. They're growing up, as it were. And what do grown-ups do? A lot of grown-ups go to church. Well, where should we go to church, honey? Brighton Church of Christ. So we're trying to find those opportunities that are target those opportunities that are more open major transition in life. And that's the idea behind the New Movers program. And so the purpose here is obviously to engage new residents in our area and spark interest in the church, spark interest in their hearts for the church. And I mentioned this morning that it's both outreach because we are reaching out, but it's also inreach because it's an opportunity for us to be involved in other ways. Now, some of you are very active and involved in evangelistic efforts already, and that's great. I want you to keep doing those, but we here's another opportunity. Some of you are saying, hey, I don't have that much time during the week. I want to make sure that what I can give is something that is going to be profitable for the church. Understand that. You may say, look, I don't have time. I can't get involved in that. It's about all I can do is get here. And I understand that too. But we want you to be introduced to this, at least to look at the opportunities that are available here. So what we've done in this committee and visiting with elders and everything is we've kind of set forth 4 categories or 4 areas of this particular work. And one of them, the first one, is what we call a hospitality area. Look, when someone new moves into town, what do? Good neighbors go over, knock on the door, hey, welcome to our community, and you hand them a plate of chocolate chip cookies, right? To show that you're hospitable, that you're neighborly, right? So that's kind of the idea here. We're taking a little bag of cookies. It's not excessive, we don't have a lot of money for this, but we're going to take a little bag of famous Amos Cookies, and it's going to be inside like a gift bag. There's several things in the gift bag. And the idea is that for the hospitality group, these are people who are going to be preparing those gift bags to take into the residents of the community. Not necessarily having to knock the door, although if you want to do both of them, you're more than welcome to, but doing what you can if you can stuff some gift bags and put the items in it. And we'll look at what's in the gift bag in a little bit later. Another aspect of it is... by the way, if you're taking notes, I threw these names on there as well. Michelle Bishop is kind of heading up that hospitality effort. If in the after we get through with this and you're thinking, hey, I want to be a part of this, talk to Michelle. Make note if you like the idea of the hospitality, write her name down and talk to her about it, and she or one of the other committee members in that area will get you hooked up. So the research, the idea here was, what if when we went to the door we knew that they're a retired couple, or what if we knew that they've got 3 kids under the age of 8? Look, if I knew someone had 3 kids under the age of 8 and they're not going to church anywhere, one of the things that I'm going to emphasize is Bible class for little kids and getting them involved. Maybe even the pew packers, right? So if I was armed with that information going to the door, that's helpful. Well, how can I get that information? We live in an age where people love to post everything about themselves on the internet. And so we spend a little time on Facebook. Hey, Joe Smith moved into town. Well, who's Joe Smith? Well, we type in Joe Smith on Facebook, and there he is. Joe Smith, he's a drummer for a rock and roll band. Okay? Or, maybe he rides a motorcycle. So I go knock on Joe Smith's door. Guess what I'm driving? My minivan. So no, I'm probably going to take my motorcycle. See, that's just trying to find it, because look, you're knocking on the door. I've had this happen. You knock on a door of a stranger. You're trying to invite them to church. They look out in the street and see you're on a motorcycle. Or nice bike, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a conversation piece. And we've broken the ice. See, we found a commonality there. And so that's one of the ideas. So the research team is going to spend some time on the internet, social media, to learn what we can about these before the visitors. Now, we're not, when we get to the engagement, we'll talk about this. But look, we're not going to go knock on the door and say, hey, Joe, I understand you got 3 kids under the age of 8. We've got Bible classes for you. Then they're going to think, that's creepy. Right? So we're going to use a little wisdom here. Jesus said, "Be as wise as serpents and harmless as a dove," right? And so we go and we knock on the door. Hey, we'd love for you to come to the Brighton Church of Christ and visit us. We've got classes for children of all ages, for adults. We have, and just throw a couple of those ideas out there that might appeal to parents with young children. Or, we could. You see, hey, they've got 3 teenagers, then we can go knock on the door, say, hey, we've got a lot of classes and a lot of support groups for people with teenagers or something like that. Look, whatever it takes to pique their interest, and that's the idea here. And so we're going to have a group. If you can spend a little time on the internet, if you're on Facebook already or something like that, and you're interested in that, talk to Jennifer Jensen. Mark her name down, and tonight or Wednesday night or whenever you want to, when you think about this and talk this over with your loved ones, how you want to get involved. Talk if that's an area, then talk to Jennifer. Another one is correspondence. There are those who don't get out much, or they're not able to visit, or some that just aren't comfortable visiting strangers. Because, look, these are strangers. I mean, we know more about them than they know about us, so I guess that gives us a little bit of the upper hand, but they're still strangers. And so the idea here is they can send cards. And this one of the things that we're looking at, that we plan on doing anyway, are making cards from the kids. And this is another one of those ends. So we get the kids to draw things, and they did that this morning, and we'll look at a couple of the drawings that we have just a little bit. But we turn those drawings into a postcard. And down there at the bottom it says, Clay, age 2, or, well, I guess Clay probably didn't do it. Clay, age 8, drew this card, right? So, they have this happy little card drawn by a kid, and on the back it says, it's from John and Bev Neal, and it says, hey, we'd like to invite you to the Brighton Church of Christ. When you come, you can come sit with our family. You always have a welcome place. Or, something nice, introducing yourself to them, something like that. But on the front, there's this picture drawn by an 8-year-old. Hey, I've got an 8-year-old. And they're getting their kids involved. That's one thing that a lot of families like about the idea of church, is getting their children involved. They're not just ornaments on the pews, or just going to a Bible class and coming back with papers. They're getting involved. They're part of the church. And so now we've got little bitty kids involved. We've got older people involved. And so it's a matter of sending those cards. If you're interested in maybe doing some of that correspondence, maybe you don't get out too much, but you can write a few cards and invite some people, talk to Thelma. She's part of that area, and she can get you hooked up on that aspect as well. And then the fourth area is that of the actual engagement. We got to have people who are willing to go and knock on that door. And this is a no guilt on them visit, an NGV, a no guilt visit. Look, a lot of people don't like strangers just coming up and knocking on their doors. We understand that. So we're going to respect that. One of the reasons is we don't like strangers in our house. So you're not going in the house. If they're real friendly, Kevin, thanks for coming over. Yeah, won't you come in and sit down? No. I just here to give you this gift bag and invite you to the Brighton Church of Christ. That's all we want to do. A lot of people don't want you coming in their house because some people don't keep a neat house, and they're embarrassed sometimes about their house. I've visited people, and they'll say, excuse the mess. And they feel real bad about the mess. Honestly, I don't care about the mess, but they don't know that. They may think in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this is a nasty house. How do they even stand to live here? I'm not doing that, but that's how a lot of people feel, that you're judging their house, and they feel guilty. This is a no-guilt visit, though, see? So we're not going in the house. Plus, they've just moved. And the thing about people who've just moved is there's a lot of boxes sometimes still stacked up. And we don't know exactly when they moved, but it's been within the last month. And they may think, well, these boxes shouldn't be here. He's going to be judging me about his boxes. But see, that's the beauty. We're not judging them about anything. This is a no-guilt visit. We're knocking on the door. We're saying, hey, welcome to the community. We're from the Brighton Church of Christ, and we want you to know that there's a welcome seat for you, and you're wanted right here. Take this gift bag and use it to your ability, and come visit us when you can. And now, if they stop you and they say, well, what time are your services? You're not going to say, nope, that's all my script said. I'm not going to, you're going to tell them what time services are. If they say, won't you come in? Sometimes you just say, well, no, I've got a list of other people that I'm going to go welcome to the community, but I appreciate your offer. Come visit with us, and maybe I'll get to come visit your home again. something like that. But we're not going in. This is a no-guilt visit. So we're making those visits to the new residents. We're delivering the cookies. And in my mind, the cookies isn't so much that they're going to eat the cookies, although they probably will. They're famous Amos, and they're sealed up in a bag. They probably will cook it. But even if they don't, there's the symbolism of the welcome to the community, right? And that's what we do as neighbors. And that feel is what we want them to get. And so we're putting that together. If you're interested in that, you can come talk to me or Scott Asper about the engagement. And again, let me just throw this out there too. When we're talking about the engagement here, if you're willing to go, but you don't want to knock on the door, go with me. I'll take you with me. And we'll do the first 10 or 12. I'll do the speaking. All you got to do is stand there and look pretty. Right? And then as you get used to it and see that it's really not that hard, then you get to do your first door. There's an excitement about knocking that first door and talking to someone and engaging them in a positive way for Christ. There's an excitement there. So if it's something you think, I'd like to do that, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, well, let's work on that. That's one thing we always say, I know I should be doing. Well, what are you doing to get there? You should be doing it, but it's not enough to keep saying, I know I should be doing it. The question is what are you doing to get there? And so if you're interested in this and you think, I can do that, I just need some practice. Well, we got people that have a lot of practice doing it and will take you. So be sure and sign up for that aspect. And listen, if you like all four of these, you say, I want to take some of those postcards home and mail those out, and I want to help put the bags together, and I want to knock on door, I want to do all of it. Great. See all of the people and sign up and volunteer in those ways. Looking at the gift bag, one of the things that we're putting in the gift bag, and I apologize, some of the stuff we're still getting printed and things, but on the actual gift bag itself, there's a label. And the reason being is we're going to be able to leave the gift bag at the door if they're not home. I wish we had the time with 200 names to go back to the ones that aren't home and try to find another time that they are home. But in reality, that's probably there's not going to be enough time. If we did that, we're going to be slammed with another 200 names in about a month, and so we're not going to have time to do this. So if we knock on the door and no one answers, we'll be able to leave it there. And on the front of the gift bag, it simply says, please accept this bag of goodies to help you settle into your new community. We invite you to visit with us soon, where you are welcome and wanted. Brighton Church of Christ, and it has our address and web address there. So that's right on the front of the bag. Whenever the hospitality group was putting it together, that's the first thing they put on is the sticker. And it's just a quick label. It peels off, sticks right on the bag. We're good to go. It's not a tough thing to do, but it's there. Inside is going to be a card. Might call it an info card or information card. On one side, it's emphasizing the idea of building our family. So it says, whose house are you building? And then it has Psalm 127 and verse 1, which says, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. And so the idea is that, let God help you build your house. The idea was to set out an inviting card, one that invites people to be part of it. Touches look, if we don't know they have children, but they do have kids. Look, they're building a house, and this touches on the idea of family. A lot of people are looking for a church and the idea of family, and so that kind of hits that note as well. And then, of course, has our information, the Brighton Church of Christ, and the street address, web address, and the phone number. That card, you flip it over on the other side, and there it says, let's find the truth of Jesus together. This hits a couple of things. One is the idea of truth. That's one thing that the Brighton Church of Christ is been trying to do for generations is teach the truth and teach the truth and teach the truth. Get the truth out there. And so the idea of truth is here. That we also strike the note of Jesus. We're finding the truth of Jesus because He is our Savior. He is the focal point, the central point of our lives as Christians, and we're wanting Him to be the central focal point of their lives as they come to Christ. And then the other aspect of this is together. The one thing that you hear a lot of people who leave churches is they don't like the preachy attitude. Preachy attitude that we know better than you know, and we're just going to tell you what it is or cram it down your throat. It's how they feel. I don't think that most churches have actually done that in the past or had that attitude, but for some reason it's perceived that way. And instead of come and let us tell you the truth about Jesus, what have we done? We've invited them to let's find it together. That we are all reading the same Bible, and we all have the opportunity and the ability to read it and understand it. And so that's what we're doing. It's a search together, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. So we're trying to strike notes in the hearts and the minds of people that may not know. Inside there, we're also putting the Brighton Church of Christ pen. This is the one that we have in the pews currently. We're nearly out of these. We've got some new ones coming in. We've redesigned them a little bit to match the branding that was on the website. When I got here, we've cleaned it up a little bit, and it's the same basic idea, but the big part of it is the pillar outside, the brown and yellow pillar, and you can see on the pen, look, I've got a pointer, have the same pillar here with the brown and the yellow as well, and so that's carried over in all the pieces. Also in there, we're going to do a little Postit Note. I don't know if you ever get Postit notes like that, like from a hotel or something, and it says Holiday Inn Express on it, or Motel 6 or whatever it is, or and they have these little. You take the little notepad with you, and you're still using it. Months later, you're still peeling off, and so it's a Postit note. That's all it is. But it's a little Postit notepad. There's 25 sheets in it, and at the top it has the Brighton Church of Christ with the web address and the phone number and the slogan "Welcome Home." They've moved into a new house, but you know where the real home is? The real home is the family of God. Welcome home. That's the idea behind that. And then, of course, the bag of famous Amos Cookies. If you're at this point needing rations, one of the little kids walked out this morning, was eating, and I said, I went too long this morning if he needed field rations to get through my sermon. But that happens at times, so you may be thinking, man, I wish I had a bag of those right now. So this is going to go in the bag as well, the symbolism of the cookie. So that's the idea of the gift bag. So we're going to put that on the door and hang it. So we have people stuffing those things in there. We're going to have people taking those and knocking on the door and handing it to the people if they answer, or hanging it on their door if they don't. And so that's the big idea here. So in marketing strategies, it is estimated that there has to be somewhere between 5 and 6 touches for them to remember who you are. 5 to 6 touches. Well, they've already got the postcard that we've mailed. That's one touch. And so we go and we leave them a gift basket or a gift bag. That's a second touch right there. We've sent them a card from the correspondence group. That's a third touch. We're halfway there. We have a gospel meeting coming up. We send a postcard to everyone on our list for that gospel meeting. There's a fourth touch. We're starting to leave an impression in people's minds and in their hearts. And while they may not be searching today, when they do start searching, we're there. And if they are searching today, we're there. That's the idea. So the cards with the children's pictures, I don't know how well you can see any of the pictures. I think this is Noah and the Ark. If, by the way, any kids drew this one, raise your hand so I'll know. Some of them didn't put a name on there. So if you, Kevin, did you? Oh no! Oh, you're putting your glasses on. Thought you were raising your hands like, Kevin, that's really good. No, but if you know who drew this one, let me know. I think of all the ones that I have, I only have one that tonight that has it. By the way, we can't do all the kids' pictures, so we're going to pick the ones that are to me most colorful, most appealing, and inviting to look at. But the other ones we're going to put on the stairwell over here so that all the kids' artworks will be seen. But only a few of them get to be selected. And one thing I want to do with these is print fewer of them so that we can have some more turnover. The other card, we have a little more, but print fewer of these so that we can have more turnover of them. Here was another one. I like this one. This is Jesus sleeping in the bottom of the boat with the storms are coming, when he would calm the storms. And so they're crying out, someone help us, help, and there's Jesus asleep, complete with his teddy bear, by the way. I don't know if his teddy bear here to comfort him. I love that. See, this is why you get kids to do it, because that's interesting and inviting. No matter who you are, is good. And then someone drew the church singing, and so these are the song notes, and all the pews here, and the people are here, and they're happy. It's always good when children draw the church and they're happy. And sometimes you look out at some congregations and you couldn't draw that truthfully of them, but it's good that here we can. And so those are some of the cards that we're looking at. You haven't printed these yet. We've got some other possibilities as well, but you get the idea here. And then imagine, right down here, this one was drawn by Carla, age 4. And so, that goes on there just like the rest of the picture. The name goes on there, the age goes on there, and that's precious. You take a couple that has retired from South Carolina and decided they were going to retire in Colorado. They're separated from their family and their grandkids, and they get a card and it says Carla, age 4, and they're going to go what? What are they going to say? Oh, right? And they feel good. That's a good feeling. And they associate that with the Brighton Church of Christ. See, we got some marketing strategy. Look, hey, the devil has been using the marketing strategies in theory for a long time. It's time that the church kind of get in on that. And so we're trying to appeal best we can into a community. Of course, we understand that the gospel is the appeal, right? Just because we have the right card and the right sayings doesn't mean they're going to be saved. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the appeal. We're not trying to take that away at all. But we want them to hear the gospel, to give it a hearing just for a moment. And that means, if they come, that's what we want them to do. We want them to come and join us, even if it's just for 1 week, and they meet you wonderful people. Then they may want to come back another week and learn more about Christ. Their conversion is going to be based upon knowing Christ. We just want a hearing. And the world is so good at slamming the door before the gospel gets a hearing. And so if by putting the right card out there or the right slogan or hitting at the right time gives it a fair hearing, then I'm all for it. And that's why we're doing the whole New Mover program. All right, so what are the needs right now? 3 things. We need volunteers, obviously, from the congregation. We need you to say, I can do that. And always be open to say, hey, I'm doing that, and I'd like to do more. Never hurts to do that. You ever want to see elders have a heart attack, go to them and say, I'm not doing enough, I want to do more. And and that's what we're planning on doing, is having this opportunity. Secondly, prayers. We need your prayers for this, and this is praying for all our evangelistic efforts. There are people who are learning about the Brighton Church of Christ, some of them for the first time. Never really thought about it, and yet they saw our name in Buzz Magazine, or they got a newsletter, or they got literature hung on their door, or they got a postcard because they moved in, and they're hearing about the Brighton Church of Christ for the first time. Let's pray for those contacts and those touches to be profitable for conversion. We're looking for souls to save. The old saying about, that's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Well, brethren, God told us, go find a needle in a haystack. That's what he told us. How do you do that? You got to look at each piece of straw and figure out if it's straw or a needle. That's how you do it. There's no easy way. I know, as a kid, I'd say, you get a magnet. Okay, well, it was pretending that magnets don't exist, okay? It takes work. It takes effort. You look at it one piece at a time until you find the needle. And that means all of us need to be involved in looking one piece at a time. And we will find the needles in the haystack. I promise you. Because God said, my word will not return unto me void. We are to go into all the world and preach the gospel, right? Make disciples of all nations. That's what we're trying to do. And finally, ideas. You may say, oh, those are all great ideas, but what if you also did this? Or what if instead of that we did this? Talk to one of the committee members. The whole idea of the committee is just kind of to focus it, to get ideas and to change it as needed, to guide it. If we're doing one thing that doesn't seem to be working, maybe it's time to change and try something else. And we've got it. We're ordering the materials for the gift bags. Should take us up through May. And at that time, we're going to look at it again. Is this something that's working for us? Is it, is it something that's profitable? Is it getting visitors to come in to hear the gospel? Then maybe we keep doing it. And if it's not, maybe it's one of those things that it didn't work. We may try it again later, but stop it for a while. But let's give it we're asking people to give the gospel a fair hearing. Let's give this a fair opportunity to work by putting our hearts and our minds and our hands into this effort. Now, I know it's not really an evangelistic call to action other than of repentance or anything, but we do have this opportunity for those who maybe are out of service or out of step or have never obeyed the gospel. There's an opportunity for you to obey tonight. If you want to respond to his invitation, we invite you while we stand and while we sing. 'Tis for you and me, let us haste, oh haste to its brink. 'Tis a fount of love from the source above, and he bids us all freely drink. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis the fountain open for all. There's a living stream with a crystal gleam from the throne of life. Now it flows while the water rolls. Let the wearied soul hear the call that north freely goes. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a rock that's cleft, and no soul is left that may not its pure water share. 'Tis for you and me, and its stream I see. Let us hasten joyfully there. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all.
Would you pray with me? Father in heaven, how blessed we are to be your children. How blessed we are to live in this time of opportunity. How blessed we are, Father, to have Sam to lead us at this point. We ask you, Father, to be with us as we go into this New Movers program. We pray, Father, that you will give us success, and most of all, Father, that you will give us a willingness to work. In Jesus' name, amen.